Good evening. I'm Gail Walters and I've been at St. Charles for 32 years. I'm also on the PPC. I'm an extraordinary Eucharistic minister. So tonight with Cheryl. Cheryl is also a parishioner from St. Charles, and I would like Cheryl to share with me on the perpetrator and all the gender-based violence. What is it that's come through for her in her workings? Cheryl?
Greetings, parishioners. I'm Cheryl Fr.Tony, and it's a pleasure to be asked to speak to you and be part of this program and to reach out to our parishioners. I'm also on the prayer group at St. Charles. I'm an educator, both of a high school and a primary school. And through the years, I've been involved with the counseling of children, as well as dealing with family structures in the education system that we face on a daily basis. With the socio-economic climate that's changing. And I'd love to share some of those experiences on the part of in education, as well as the family structure and the breakdown of family structure and in society for today.
Cheryl, we quite see a lot of the perpetrator around us. And just this Monday, on the 28th of November, from the President's desk, he touched on the perpetrator. And it was quite saddening to hear when he had mentioned that it is about the men and the boy. As a mother, I can say, yeah, in one way, but I can also say the home life is very much where we look at. South Africa, from a perpetrator perspective, we do have tools and equipment to help, and healing that we can actually bring through. From a spiritual perspective, there's so much healing taking place, and there's so much happening from a gender-based violence perspective. And we look at the woman who actually says, in some instances, she doesn't know where to go herself. And when we look at the Catholic Church, we look at how we are actually inspired and how there's so much areas to go spiritually for help, which physically helps and mentally helps and psychologically brings another aspect through to it. So from your perspective, when you see what the perpetrator does to a child, how do you feel, and what is it that you come across from your side?
It's both concerning and very saddening for me as an educator on a daily basis to have to experience in schools, the school structures at the moment, where in government schools, God has been kicked out. And that is the first and foremost for me in creating stability in children. God and spirituality starts at home, yes, but it cannot end at home. It has to be taken out into the communities to teach value systems to children as they grow out. Currently, the role models that we have, both in the home and in the workplace, are exactly not the kind of role models that children need. And some of the structures that I'm seeing taking place are unstable children, especially in boys. I'm not saying it's not happening with the girls. Children from as young as grade 1s, 2s and 3s are involved in disruptive behavior patterns. And when we look into it in the field of education, it all stems from the family structure. The abuse in families, the instabilities, the financial problems that are often leading to stressful situations, domestic violence. Children are witnessing these inconsistencies in adult behavior. And because the home is not a platform for children to express themselves anymore, children are often now going into schools and they are looking for ways to express their frustrations, their depressions, their anxieties, their post-traumatic stresses that they go through. And one of the biggest things is they are now learning to imitate their parents, and they are now inflicting, it's a ripple effect, they're inflicting that same hurt and pain that they are feeling onto other children in schools and into society. That concerns me, that these children are now going to grow up and they're going to become perpetrators themselves, unless at some point parenting and the adult behavior patterns and how we speak in front of our children needs to be addressed. And that comes from our core value systems that we learn. What we learn in church doesn't stay at church. It needs to be filtered out into our homes and to our children. And I think lots of women out there that are experiencing, domestic violence or a violence against women in the workplace, for that matter. In some cases, they are experiencing the inequalities and the discriminations and the disempowerment of themselves within cultural groups, because it's been a norm that's been so instilled for so many generations that the structure in relationships don't know how to change that, and women are becoming silently abused, and they're not using their voices to speak out. So children are growing up looking at their moms being afraid. So they tend to develop that sense of fear themselves, that instability, that lack of confidence within themselves. And they look in other ways of how to express themselves, and often it comes out incorrectly. So the fabric of society at the moment is really, really divided. It's really concerning. It comes back to the family structure. When I look at this, especially going into the Advent season at the moment, one of our greatest inspirations and role models is the Holy Family. And the Holy Family teaches us as Catholics. Joseph was an example to men of what it means to be a husband and a father that was dedicated. And the role was to take care and to protect Mary and Jesus. And hence that is our role model in a family home of how to take care of our families and how to carry ourselves as adults, that our children may imitate the corrective behavior. Currently, that is not happening.
But why? Why do you think? Because from my perspective, we have seen a breakdown of love. And the 10 Commandments is all about love.
Absolutely.
And if you look at homes with love, and you look at a breakdown, and we look at the stats, and this is when we started this Rosary group to actually help.
Absolutely.
Because that was the reason for this Rosary group, to come out about and to say, let's take it to another level. Let's offer that monthly Rosary. But I go back to say, the perpetrator, he sits anywhere. Corporate world, he can sit in government, wherever, in not only in the corporate, but you're looking at social structures, we're looking at, we go to parties, we go to this, we go to that, especially where children and your younger places are.
I think, just to add on to what you are saying, I think one of the biggest things is that people need to feel and to know that your church environment, a place that you should feel the safest in. And many people, I think, out of their fear for being stigmatized, often abused women and children, often afraid of being judged by others who have the perfect family structure. And it becomes very hard for them to actually express the negative challenges that they have to deal with and to know exactly where to go. I know in society at the moment, in watching some of the marches that took place in our country also, where women have spoken out to say that even going to a police station, there was nothing in place to actually assist and help them. And for me, I feel what better place than to come to church and to connect with our fellow believers in Christ. Absolutely.
So I look at myself and I say to myself, I'm not better. I've also gone through it. And as a woman, let us all end violence.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
we have
Cheryl.
a voice, and I think we should use it.